hit go. The wheels are spinning, and we'll see how it goes here. I'm going to catch the stream on Instagram, get that fired up, and then we're going to rock and roll.
Let's do it.
All right. Far as I can tell, I think we are live on Instagram. We'll see how this works. And then we'll wait for the wonders of technology to keep up and get us going here. It'd be nice to try to catch people, all us master crafts people on our lunch breaks here.
Yeah, that would be righteous. Yeah, I guess it's what, 12:30 where you're at. So yeah, it would definitely be lunch break time.
Yeah, if you go one way, it's your 10:30 to 11:30. Another way, it's 1:30. It's kind of right in there where you hit everybody. So we'll see. We will see. All right, I see the people populating on Instagram. This will be a fun one. How's the vacation been?
Dude, it's been, so amazing. I feel so blessed. We just so much family together. Even Jordan's family's here, and we're just all.
Oh my God, I had no idea his family was here too. That's amazing.
Yep. So his not his whole family, but his mom and his internal family, 2 kids are here. We've been hitting the beach, a ton. About to do a seafood boil for the birthday tonight.
Oh.
Jordan's a strong believer in the David Goggins, don't celebrate your birthday, but I'm more of the guy that's like, celebrate what you want to see more of, and I want to see a lot more birthdays.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, everybody, hold tight. Instagram is live. The other feeds are not started. Oh, there we go. I think we're good. So everybody, it looks like we are good to go. If you do not see us, if you do not hear us say something otherwise, get all your questions ready. We have a friend and guest today, Brandon, that's going to be with us. And we're going to get this show rolling. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. What Ask a Painter looks like to somebody who doesn't host the show. You were just at the retreat, and you're going to give us a full breakdown. And we're just going to talk about, the family, the life, the work, and everything else. So first off, everybody, I am Nick Slavic. I'm the proprietor of the Nick Slavic Painting and Restoration Company, also the host of this show, Ask a Painter Live. It is a weekly live show on 4 social media channels where we talk about the life of a master crafts person, master crafts people, and paint business entrepreneurs and everything in between. So before we dive into Brandon, special guest Brandon, and his story, his experience at the retreat, I do have to mention the PCA, the Painting Contractors Association. This is a 140-year-old nonprofit that exists to build better people, build better businesses, and make this whole industry better. And Brandon, I think you saw a full expression of that last week at the retreat, where the ethos of the PCA, the ethos of Ask a Painter, the ethos of the retreat are all the same, which is you can build better businesses, you can improve your job costing, but sooner or later, you solve job costing. Sooner or later, you even solve what do you charge for X, which is crazy. It's mind-blowing to some people that is a solvable thing. But if you do this well enough, you solve those things and you're only left with yourself. And both of us, Brandon, as we were sitting in that beautiful lodge around the fire and on the boat, we realized a lot of us are solving a lot of those things, and we're also working on ourselves, because that's the thing that will keep our families intact, our businesses intact, and keep everything fun and profitable. So, all right, everybody, you get any of your questions ready. If you know Brandon, give us a big hands up, give us a big high five. Otherwise, we're going to dive into Brandon. So Brandon, first off, what do we need to know about you? Where do you live? Where do you operate? What kind of business do you run?
So live in Brighton, Michigan, pretty close to Ann Arbor, Michigan, about 45 away from Detroit. We are mainly residential painters, cabinets, interiors, exteriors, not much on residential side that we won't tackle. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's not the most interesting thing. I think the interesting thing is the people. We have some really great people on our team. And as far as me, I've moved around a ton, finally settled down in Brighton. Absolutely love it there. We have a lake life, huge community of people that, look out for, not only my family, I look out for theirs. It's an ecosystem that where it's, it takes a village to raise, right? And that's the whole point of the business, is to help not just my family, but as many families as possible. And as far as what else about me, I love to travel. I love to, see beautiful sights like the beach. My brother always, was surfing, all that stuff. He's a huge inspiration to me. and we actually spread his ashes out in the ocean over here, and that's why it's so special to me, and that's why it's so special to me to grow the company into something that is seemed unachievable when I first started with just a truck and a brush. It's already turned into something that I could never have imagined, and we still got a long way to go.
Oh man. So haven't always been in Brighton, Michigan, no?
Nope.
Where did you originate from?
Virginia, so over by where Jordan is, in Newport News, which is the Hampton Roads area over by Virginia Beach.
So this is sometimes I love the kismet and how good humans doing good deeds are generally rewarded for a lot of their efforts. Which is, if I'm being honest, I had no idea you and Jordan even knew each other, and you guys ended up on the same retreat, which is pretty crazy stuff. And I realized that when you guys started talking to each other, you even had a connection to John McFarland as well, who was at the retreat as well, right?
Yep.
What is
Yep.
that connection?
So it's actually funny. The brother that I was talking about, he passed away almost 8 years ago now, and he actually worked with John for about 6 months, not too long. But when he was working there, he's like, "You got to come." You know, he's got so much work, and it's an awesome company, and all this jazz. And that's kind of how I learned about him. And then I met him at PCA events. You know,
Uh, that's amazing, man. So where did you find your entry into the painting industry?
Well, my best friend's dad in Virginia ran a painting company. He was definitely just a guy with a truck. Hurry up and get it done. Not very much professionalism. It was literally just like, paint, paint, paint. He did teach me how to paint very well, right?
Yeah.
But as far as like running a business, way, way different. But that's how we all got our introduction. My brothers, myself, we all were working for, I think it was $9 an hour, laboring, moving ladders, all that fun stuff. Um, and yeah, that's basically where I got my intro. I moved up to Michigan. I was actually a bricklayer in the union. I strongly hated the union. I hated
Wow.
that I was giving money to people that, like, I was giving my money to get my money back at a rate that I didn't think was very fair.
Yeah.
And I also hated the work. It was just mundane. And I was doing painting on the side during it. I had a customer say, "Why don't you just do this full time? You're really good at it." Um, and my brother had started this business and kind of left it in the air after he passed. So I figured, well, let's carry the torch and continue lighting more torches.
Dude, that's amazing. And how many years ago did you carry that torch, start carrying it?
2020, so 5 years.
Holy cow, man. Geez. There's about 8 lanes of questioning that have popped up since you started talking about let's go first into so you're a COVID business, and I feel like we're rounding out a sort of like there's going to be a generation of people who started in 2020 that have a completely different experience about this industry for many reasons we won't get into here. But what did you start it before things started shutting down, or did you start it during the shutdown?
Funny enough, the day before the shutdown, I was on a hydromobile, which is just basically like magnetic scaffold. It's about 3 stories up. We were, doing like laying brick, and a guy was putting on mortar onto the hydromobile and pushed it down too far. It tipped one of the L's over, and a bunch of people went to, fall, and we ran over to the other L. One guy was just dangling, just
Um,
about died. They sent us home. Uh, and then the next day COVID shut everything down, and I just kept rocking and doing decks and all that stuff. Hopefully no one's listening that could get me in trouble for that, but yeah, Michigan shut down pretty intensely, but we just kept rocking.
yeah, and that was the case too, where if you sometimes like, so there's like the letter of the law and the spirit of the law, and the biggest problem that it sounds like you dealt with and then I dealt with too was like, I have a whole pile of humans whose families are supported by this. We have a whole bunch of clients who are going to get this done. And if you as long as you keep people safe and you follow the spirit of the law, there was a lot of these municipalities. I mean, there were dudes in New York that literally they're illegal painting operations. If they were in a work van, they get pulled over and asked for their papers if they were allowed to do this. So everybody had these varying sort of experiences with that. But if you're talking about a sign to go off on your own, that sounds like in quick succession about the biggest sign you need to just, hey man, now is the time, right?
Yep, literally. And I think it was the weekend before that one of my first clients that I was doing a second job for was like, telling me, you're really good at this. You should go do it yourself.
Dude, yeah, if you would have ignored that, that's about as obvious a sign ever to start your own business.
Yep.
Dude, that's pretty awesome. What does the business look like now?
So there is 10 of us total. We have office admin that we actually use. He's overseas, but everybody else is local.
Mhm.
Um, Production management, not we're really still a small business, right? We got a lot to learn, a lot to grow. Going to that retreat of yours helped me really realize that. Sometimes our ego gets in the way and we start thinking we're the bee's knees, and we are, right? But there's a lot to still be learned, and if you ever think otherwise, then you're probably pretty close to death. I feel. I think there's always more to learn.
Yeah, and God bless the innovators because there's people who create wild innovations, start businesses, create jobs. I mean, you're supporting arguably 9 or 10 families off of the thing you created. That's a large globe to be hosting up on your back, Atlas. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of that stuff going on. But like you said, that sometimes the problem is the ego that allowed you to go on this crazy thing and take on this risk can also be the thing that kind of like stops you. And that's what we talked about at the start of this show. And I think you saw pretty wild examples of that, of people working through that at their retreat too. Yes.
Without a doubt. I think my ask changed like 4 times because a lot of other people's ask kind of, answered what I came initially for.
Yeah. Let's do one last pass on your business, your work life, and then let's start talking about how you started interacting with this. So, um, what what is going really well in your business? What are the biggest areas of improvement that you think you need?
Well, I believe that we scaled really fast. We basically doubled this past year and the year
Mhm.
before. So that is a great thing, right? But that's also the curse involved with the great thing. We're doing a lot of work, and it needs to be a little bit more controlled. So as far as the great thing, um, great at the sales process has like really enlightened and like flown above and beyond. I feel like we've got that really locked in. And as far as like work life balance for most of my guys, everybody gets family time. Something I think is the coolest thing is one of our subcontractors is actually going to Hawaii on Monday. Um, and the fact that one of my subs can afford that, I think, is pretty rad. So I guess we pay our people really well. I think that's the best thing I feel.
Love that. How about areas where you think you need or the business needs the most improvement?
This past year, our client experience has gone down with how much we've scaled.
Mm,
So, after the retreat, it kind of was an eye opener of like, okay, let's go, and it's okay to just 1.1x this year if we can get our client satisfaction, through the roof. Because that's my ultimate goal. Again, is impact. And if I'm impacting people's lives by being that pesky painter that screwed something up, that's not the impact I'm looking for.
yeah.
And I want to feel the impact of not only my guys feeling great at the end of the job, but myself, the clients, etc.
Yeah, we do yeah, very similar data point in my own company and very similar data point in lots of others where there was one year I had about a 5 year trajectory of rapid growth. In one of the years, we went from 10 people to 22. And the first thing that suffered was the client experience. And it wasn't that there were a whole bunch of angry clients, but you and I both have a level of servitude that we believe should be done. There should be an experience there as well too. And I felt myself just being spread too thin. I couldn't just give as much personal sort of experience as I wanted to. So that was very indicative to me of like what happens when you hyperscale, and that was only a 2x. And so you can imagine when you go even faster and farther than that, that everything breaks after that. So I think guys like you and me we're so locked into that client experience that does like, oh, that gives us pause. It's like, hey, this, you can't just scale freely whenever you want with no consequences. There are things that fail because you don't know where you're going. Sometimes it's untreaded ground, right?
Yeah, and to me, it's like, okay, that's the number one factor for success, in my opinion, is
Yeah,
being able to provide a great experience for your clients, whether or not be experience. I mean, sometimes it's for like a rental and they never see you, right? But the experience is just a little different. It's still an
exactly.
experience. um, and yeah, as far as scaling goes, it is a pretty big headache. And um, I see slower growth will be very beneficial, at least for the time being.
But
And
there is, there is a great, you could make an argument that, if your goal is to get to 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, there are times where you do have to 2.2 exit in 1 year, where you just have to make that leap, because by a series of math problems, there are things called valleys of death. And if you extend your period in those times where overhead and labor and leads are out of kilter, and you extend that out, that's extra painful. So if people know what they're doing, there is actually a mathematical argument for sometimes going, well, listen, we can't go from 2 people to 6 people. We got to go from 4 people to 10 people right now, because otherwise something's going to be mismatched, and this is going to be very painful to people.
yeah, exactly. And if you don't really pay attention to where you're sitting as the owner, because sometimes there's other factors in your life that mean like you can't deal with that stress, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know myself, like my kids do a lot of things,
Yeah.
and it takes a lot of time to do these hockey games, and that's a strong core value of myself, is that I'm not going to miss these games, or I'm not going to miss watching them develop, because that's my whole life. And
Yeah.
if I sit here and say, oh, well, I'm going to I'm going to 10x my business, but I'm going to also like subtract my son or my daughter's like core values and all that, then that's not worth it to me. And I imagine there's plenty of other scenarios like that too. And then to just go into the business side, it's like sometimes you really do need to take and just 1.1 for a year or two so you could be ready to do that extra push. Because we've just been pushing for 3 years, right? We've been bow, 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 bow. Now it's time. Okay, let's figure this out a little bit more, and then we can do it again. Because I mean, I know I can do it. It's
Yeah.
just okay. Let's get it a good base to skyrocket from.
Yeah, there's a great metric, and like, in scaling, you're kind of going into untreaded water, although there is a math problem ahead of most of us. But there is a great metric that somebody had laid on me. It's like, listen, every once in a while, you take a deep inhale, you're growing, and then you take a deep exhale, and at the end of that exhale, catch net profit up before you scale again. So it's like, hey, if we went from 4 people to 9 people, 4 people to 10 people, why don't you take a year or 2 if you need to, make sure that net profit catches up, you build up another war chest again, which will give you the option to grow again. But like all of us, we've seen examples of people who got way over their skis and it doesn't keep up. And then you just compound your stress with all these other humans. You're not prepped for management, and also you're not making any money. And then how present do you think a human is with their family then at that point, if you're compounding stress year over year, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a bad one. Okay, so let's talk about the Ask a Painter Live ecosphere and the Retreat ecosphere. Whenabouts did you first see an Ask a Painter thing on the internet, retreat thing? How did you first interact with all this?
I want to say it was 2022 or 2023 that you came to Michigan and you did a Sherwin-Williams Pro Show, and you
Yeah.
were talking uh, to all of us. And I, in my opinion, now I had some crazy, like super simple questions that I feel like most people actually have. It's just it's scary to ask because I mean, who do you ask when you don't know anyone in the game, right? Um,
Or you've never talked with any other painters, or you had some connections, like you and a guy named Jordan are friends and stuff, but like I didn't have anybody. I would never talk to another person in this industry. You give
well,
away
that's
all
how
your secrets.
that's exactly how it was when I first started, though. Like Jordan started last year. I didn't connect with John until going to these events.
Yeah.
Um, you don't find like-minded people if your mind is stuck on, oh, I got to keep all my secrets and all
Yeah.
this stuff. Like it's not that much of secret sauce, in my opinion. I don't think any of it's super complicated.
It's not just
And
your opinion. There literally are no secrets.
yeah, um, and so found you there, and then I forget when you started Ask a Painter. I really don't know, but I just discovered it after that, and then I started following you. I've been watching a lot of your videos. I've seen you tons online, right? Like you
Yeah.
do push a lot of content. The Ask a Painter, I think, has been amazing because you go into
Mm.
so many different details. Something I've loved here recently is how you have also gone into a little bit of family stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I think that's something most of us struggle with that have families in it. It's 7 p.m. You're still on your phone, trying to put out fires, and it's awesome to know that you're not alone in that, and that you can find a way to get it done by like 4 or 5. Um, so I think that's beautiful. And then to correlate it over to the PCA, I hadn't even actually joined the PCA until the retreat. I believe you and John really were great motivators
Yeah.
to be able to join. But the
Did
biggest
John
reason,
did John grab you by the neck and push you up against a tree or what? That feels like his style of motivation. Where I'm a
we were
little more
actually on the sandbar, and then he connected me to the jet ski without me knowing, and then just started dragging me behind. And he told me he wouldn't stop until I joined the PCA. So I'm
until
like
your credit
struggling in the
card ran.
water. Yep, yep, exactly. And that's how I joined the PCA. And the correlation between that, I haven't been in long enough to know super big benefits of being in
Yeah.
the PCA, but if there's anything that I could know is down to just having the connections with all you guys is worth it alone, and being able to be in that group of like-minded people that you can bounce things off of, because there is no like secret sauce like what we were just talking about, and having people that have been through that struggle is amazing to have, where I could send you a message and you're like, well, this is what I did.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. And to correlate it to the retreat was pretty life changing for me, not only because of the retreat, but because of those people that we were just
Mm.
talking about. I mean, me and a guy that actually lives here in OBX, I thought that was really cool. His name's Tommy.
Tommy
He
Hill.
runs, yep, he runs a great painting company, and we all still have a ton to learn, right? But we got into some personal stuff, like sitting in the sauna, and like I had like a revelation. I was talking to him about my brother, and we just, I feel so much weight off my chest. It was like a what do we call it? Accelerator coach,
Yeah.
therapy session, really.
Performance coaching. Yep. Because
Performance
because
coaching.
we can't say therapist in Minnesota.
Yeah, exactly. So, that alone, like, was worth it, just
Yeah.
to be around other people that have been through stuff. Because, when you're in this, not many people in my immediate circle in home get it. Like, they
No.
don't get the stress behind it. And you tend to, at least myself, I bottle up a lot of stuff, sweep it under the rug, and
Oh,
that
it
like
doesn't sound like anybody else we know.
no, no. So to get some of that stuff out of the under the rug was great, and then also hearing, people that are doing numbers you'd never imagine talking about their like acts to us, and actually listening to somebody that's not even a tenth of their size as far as a business, and they like listen and input it. That's like a very piece of humble pie for me. I thought that was amazing, and getting the insight from all of them was next level. And then even hearing about some horror stories that made me feel like, oh, well, I guess I don't have it that bad.
Yep.
Um,
So harken back to, if you still can, your first interact, like, how did you first you must have come across the retreat through Ask a Painter, but what did you think the retreat was before you actually went to one?
I honestly had very little knowledge of what it would be like. I knew that we had to create this thing called an ask, and that was very anxiety filled for me, because I'm like, what do I ask these people that like I've been admiring for years? Um, and then I was talking to John McFarlane about it. He's like, man, it's probably going to change while you're there. Like I wouldn't stress it too much. Like, have your data, but I wouldn't stress it too much. So as far as like expectations going in, I really didn't have much, except for excited to meet all you guys actually in a more close setting where we could actually chat about different things. The biggest expectation, I guess, would have been that I got value from it, and boy did I.
Yeah, man. So it's been really weird. I like to like debrief with people about this, especially people who are relatively new to Ask a Painter, because Ask a Painter's been around for 9 years. I've been doing this for 18. Like, there's been a lot of us OGs who have been putting stuff out on the internet and connecting for the last 8 to 12 years, right? So there's a lot of, sometimes we're just so close to this, to the PCA and Ask a Painter and the painter internets and things like that. You're a relatively newer involvee in all this stuff. So when I debrief with people, there's some people who believe that the retreat is basically, let's get 100 cases of Busch Light, let's get a wake surfing boat, and let's just leave our families and do this stuff until they meet somebody who's ever gone here, and you realize that is the social part of this is such a small part. Like, most people are a little bit shocked that I basically ask from about 8 a.m. till about midnight every day. There's an itinerary for the entire day. And I like to leave people feeling wrung out at the end. sleep on the plane, and then sort of drink from the fire hose thing, and then go back and think about it for the rest of the weekend, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, it was great. On the plane, I was literally just writing a bunch of notes, because and then the last night I couldn't sleep at all. The night before I couldn't sleep. And you put it a really great way. You were talking about these events that we go to, and then we're all looking forward to the hallway talk. Um, and even on the boat, even when we're like going doing leisure activities, like the whole time it's like diving deeper into what we're trying to figure out, or just I mean, sometimes it is good to just have like I rode a jet ski for like an hour because of you, and it inspired us to go rent jet skis when we're here and just like
Yeah.
actually let loose a little. As an entrepreneur, I don't think we feel like we have the permission to do that a lot. And that was great. I felt like a kid. I felt like I was ready to rock and roll. So yeah, there is some points of bush lights, right? But it's not like that's not even I don't even think that's part of the focus of it.
No.
The whole thing is that those hallway talks, except yeah, it might be a pontoon talk, but
Yeah.
man, talking with 5 people that have been right where I've been, right where I'm at, and then giving some input on the situation, that's priceless.
It's amazing. And not in a scenario where you're DMing over Facebook Messenger, right? Like this is I found a very beautiful formula for this early on, which is guys like you and me and everybody else you met there have a very difficult time being present where your mind and body are in the same place. And sometimes it's with our business, sometimes it's with our family, and sometimes, which is the worst scenario, where we're thinking about our family at work and our work at when we're with our family, which is just like the worst combination of those things. So the formula is you get a whole bunch of people with some deeply held core values, not quality is the best. Like, no, those are surface core values. We need deep core values like trust in humanity, care for other humans, always going farther to help other people, things like that. You get them out of their normal lives, away from their employees, their subs, their families. You put them in a place where everything is taken care of for them. I mean, how many times in your life have you just had everything taken care of for you for a day or a series of days?
Uh, the retreat.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. It literally doesn't. We go as far as there's an idea. All you have to do is walk outside. We all think fitness is important. There's a lady to do fitness, tell us what to do. Then there's a chef to feed us breakfast. And then there's me to tell us where to go and what to do. You bring your ask, I'll tell you where to sit. It might be outside, it might be by the fire, it might be in the house. Guess what? Another meal shows up. And then boats and jet skis and saunas have been laid out for you, right? And it's like, there's never a time in our life where systematically responsibility has been carved out from us so that we can free ourselves to be present. And that is a secret formula, because we joke about at the retreat, you take this and you put it in a Hilton boardroom by the airport. This is not the same thing. This isn't even close to the same thing. You need to remove ourselves from our lives in order to have these conversations.
Exactly. I think I was on my phone for like 40 minutes total, and that was just to like FaceTime the fam, like in the
Same.
like social little social blocks. Like, I think that that's beautiful because I'm quite addicted to my phone.
Well, I think, even the people who say they aren't, have a look at that screen time. And I think that's all that it has to say, right?
Yeah, and to like highlight what you're talking about like a little bit ago, like there's this guy I listened to, his name's Jim Rohn. I mean, he's been around forever. And he talks about like when you're at the beach, be at the beach, and when you're at work, be at work. Because if you're like letting those two leak together, that's like what you're saying, the absolute worst thing.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so now you have been to a retreat, and I would argue this was one of the more interesting ones I've ever done. I described to you guys the process of curating the humans and the arc. It takes me about 3 months and 3 rounds of recruiting to recruit the types of humans that I want to. I go for all forms of diversity, everything physical, mental, location, business size, age. I mean, you name it. I got you guys the most diverse cross section of humans we can possibly get on there, especially in the terms of thought. We go there for a bunch of days. We get together. We do a bunch of things. Everything is taken care of. Now that you're done, do you think about things differently? What do you find yourself thinking about a lot? What are you urgent to get doing? What are the big takeaways?
Quality of life.
Mm,
I think that's a major one. Down to I've been doing freaking yoga on this deck. Like what? You know what I mean? Like
beautiful.
never it's not guided. So I kind of miss, I forget her name, but I miss her a little bit. It was nice to have
Jen,
that.
yep.
Yeah, Jen. Um, Also just clarity on like, oh wow, like you said, removing yourself from the fishbowl. I know you didn't say fishbowl, but sometimes I feel like I am in the
It is.
fishbowl, and when it's you step out, it's like, I mean, I'm writing stuff up on the board during my ask, and I'm like, I see the answer. When you're in front of 20 people talking about stuff, the answers tend to like start revealing themselves,
Yep.
and humbleness comes really fast. Uh, what am I excited to do? I am really, really excited to go back and not just change everything, because that's not the goal. It's really just hone down on that customer experience and build up some treasure, like the war chest. That way we can go and have great clarity on each decision we make, instead of
Yep.
making it so fast because we're like, oh wow, we're running low. Like it's okay. Let's take a second to make this decision versus just doing it. Uh,
And I would never ask anybody to reveal what their ask was, because a lot of it gets personal, and it's not this sort of secret thing. I don't make you guys sign NDAs, but the beautiful thing about this organism we've created is that there's so much trust there. You never need to say, "Hey guys, don't talk about this stuff outside of here," because some people are pretty like, we're not divulging secrets. We're not part of a secret society, but we start to, when you're present, when you're around people you trust, you can have these conversations that you don't have anywhere else, because these are the people that understand you. So if you can remember, do you remember what your original ask generally was about and then what it morphed into?
how do I get rid of cancers in my company? And what I mean by that is, when it comes to negativity and stuff that
Mhm.
I never pushed, as far as when it was just me painting with three people, we were all laughing the whole damn day, and we were having a great time. We were making money, and our profits were never better. Um, and then this past year, we grew a lot, and a lot of that actually solved itself while I was gone. So then the ask evolved.
Yeah, it's funny how that stuff works, and I think I've seen enough data, and the data will tell you that I create this arc of humans. On the first night, we all get there mid afternoon on a Tuesday. We have a beautiful private chef dinner, and then I usually have 2 to 3 asks from our most veterans, right? And that sort of set the stage of like, this is what we do, this is what people think about, and then typically half of the people. I save the rookies till the second and third day. Half of the rookies will go back and completely throw their ask out and start again, which is necessary because I don't want them to waste their ask on the first day when they could have seen a couple and then completely changed it and morphed it because they've never been there before.
No, the way you curated everything was amazing. The
Mm.
thought that you put into every little decision um, amazed me. And that's another takeaway. It's like being more mindful of every action that I'm doing, planning more things out. Granted, we are a little different in that I'm not SOP on every last thing, but
Mhm.
when it comes to, I mean, man, you had so many different brains there, and down to like the way it evolved with each person's ask, because you curated that. And I'm so thankful I wasn't the first night, because then I would have been like, dang, I wish that I could have changed this, because it did change completely.
Yep. And that's why we do what we do. And you could take any of the alumni and put them on the first night and it would have been fine. But I coach up my openers. Typically, we have Chris Mullen, Rob Lenzen, maybe one of the Kuipers. And those are my openers. They always bring the heat. They always are very thoughtful. It's always a mix of business, a little bit of personal, and I think it really does keep that culture. It's like when an employee shows up at your business, like on their first day of work, who greets them at the door? What is onboarding like? What does their first day look like? That changes their entire perception of how they think about you and this business and everything else. And I do not take that lightly. So that's literally the reason why we do this. You come in, there's a luxury lodge, a full stock bar, coolers full of everything you want, snacks laid out on the counter, chef making a meal, 2 asks. If you don't understand what's going on here, you are blind at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah. And the other thing that was really cool is like, anytime that you noticed that I was like standoffish or anything like that, you're like, do you need anything? Like, what's going on? You're the best host anybody could ask for, just for being somewhere, let alone for leading a retreat.
Um, turning a world in on itself. The most meta thing of all time is that in the arc of all of my asks on 9 of these things now, I started off with a lot of business, and then I went really personal. Then I do Ask a Painter, then I do PCA, then I do all these other things. And in me trying to make a better business, I've become a better human, which has allowed me to be a better host and concierge for this thing. So all aspects of life, I could not be as present as I am if my business was unstable, if my personal life was unstable, if all these other things, PCA was unstable. So all these things move in an arc together, and I've really enjoyed being intentional and leaning in. We've had 9 retreats now total over almost 5 years. And I would say for the first third, we're just still trying to figure it out. I'm still growing a business. Ask a Painter's still there. Personal life, we're growing families. Now we're settling into this beautiful thing where I don't think anybody could argue that I wasn't present for this thing. And it was all a culmination of guys like you, everybody else at the retreat who have helped me out along the way with that.
I couldn't agree more. You've done a great job even raising your kids. I thought they're some of the best humans I've ever met.
Yeah, and you asked me. This is like if you had to boil down, why I do the retreat, it was literally because of a question you asked me on the boat. You remember that question?
I asked a lot of questions, Nick.
Yeah. So you said something really cool, which is a condensation of the hallway conversations, which says, "What are you most proud of this year?" And I said, "My kids. I think they're just going to be okay." And that was like, on a Facebook message, in a million Facebook messages, we wouldn't have had that conversation, right? So it's that, which was a very interesting thing. And what I liked about it very much is that I think we were even like just barely getting the boat out there. We're just kind of setting, literally you turn around and just said that to me. And I was like just walking from the front of the boat to the rear of the boat. I was like, oh, actually, it's a really good question. So that struck me, but those conversations never would have happened if that takes a day and a half of what we did in order to get to those things, which are very, very valuable. So, yeah.
Yeah, and after the day, I feel like we all started getting way more comfortable with each other. At least, like I know, like me with everybody else. I mean, we never met before, right? I might have seen them on Facebook, just like
Yeah.
you said. You see someone on Facebook, that's not them. I mean, that's their profile, but
Yeah.
that's not them. So, I actually asked everybody at the retreat that question,
Mhm.
and I think I got a lot of value from that. It's not even think. I know I got a lot of value out of that.
Well, you see where people's heads are, and it's not, oh man, I tried out this new coating for cabinets. It ain't that, man. I don't.
90% was family. 90% was family. I'm so proud of the family. I'm proud of, being present.
Yeah. What's very interesting is that, I'm very present with you guys, telling you guys about that. I'm listening for trends in the industry. I'm paying attention to what everybody says. And I even like sharing arcs of trends in the industry. And I'll say this, me and Jason Paris, 8-10 years ago, when we got involved in the industry, it was hard to find people who talked about their family as a priority. It was literally vans, dudes, top line revenue. I mean, all the vanity sort of numbers and things like that. And we never really felt like we fit into that sort of thing. Nobody talked about net profit, family, work-life balance, a purpose in life, something larger down the road. It was all just kind of surface level stuff. And I think you understand now, you probably felt this way before this, but like the people who are doing this the best in the industry are the people that have conversations like that start with, first, I'm going to have work-life balance. First, I'm going to prioritize my family, and then we're going to see what this business can do.
Yeah, and something else that I learned from that is not like I can't just prioritize my family. I also have to prioritize myself and some of my hobbies. And I got that from other people's ask, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's like, wow, I have been neglecting a lot of my hobbies because I'm so enthralled in what Nancy needs and like, our clients' needs and like what the team needs, which is still great to do, but I should also have some me time to do uh develop myself, and then that helps me be a better leader for my family too and for my team.
Really interesting. There has been some people, if you don't know John McFarland, he's literally a hurricane slash tornado slash thunderstorm of a human being that cares deeply for humanity. It's the craziest mix of human I've ever seen in my life. Scariest human ever that you love. And
Yeah.
this guy, John, who proverbially grabbed me by the collar years ago, pushed me up against the wall and says, if you don't take care of yourself, all this crumbles, family, work, everything else. And it got to a point where people had to grab me by the collar and force me up against the wall and say that, because I was in fact almost looking to martyr myself and harm myself in the service of other people. And I needed that outside perspective of somebody saying, dude, this is all built upon you being mentally and physically okay. You need to talk to some humans. You need to ask for help. You need to do a little exercise and things like that. And it's like, oh man. But coming from places like this, a lot of us servant leaders, prioritizing the needs of ourselves, I mean, that's all. We almost take pride in not doing that at some point, and that's very hard to get over.
Yeah, because most of the people that taught us were like that.
And even worse in some regards.
I mean, not even some regards. It's like 99.9% of the regards.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely. And so I really feel like, and this was it wasn't a hazy memory, because again, I had to be present through 16, 17 asks, facilitate everything else. So some of these things blend together, but I kind of remember you and I might have been sitting close together by the fire. I think Jordan was giving his ask. I had a wonderful cigar and a glass of red wine, and we were listening. And I have this memory of me asking him, what are your hobbies and what do you do for fun? And I think he literally couldn't come up with anything.
yeah, it took him a minute. Then I feel like he started deep diving into it. I believe he already ordered his BMX bike. While we were here, he went and bought a kite, was flying the kite, like just you see it coming out. It's crazy how much a ripple effect has.
Well, and it's funny because Jordan is a commissioned Army captain. He leads a 100-person engineer company. He owns a painting company that's doing insanely well. And it was really funny to be like, "What do you do? What do you want to do?" And yeah, it did take him a little bit for that, but to see that ripple effect happen, where he's on vacation with you, your families are together, and he's doing that stuff. That's the catalyst a lot of us need. Is like, if you do that, you're not forsaking other people. You're actually going through the motions of helping others by taking care of yourself. And that's a wonderful thing, man.
Beyond, and that wouldn't even have been discovered if it wasn't for you starting this not Ask a Painter 9 years ago, or having, granted, like you said, it started getting you where you were trying to serve other people to the point you were exhausting yourself. But man, now that you got it locked in, look at how much you're helping so many people in the industry that you want to help them in. Like, that's just beautiful to me.
And this is a blast. And fellow retreater, Christian Moose Painting, the human exclamation point, is on Instagram watching. He says, "What up, gentlemen?" I'm surprised we didn't get a "Hey, buddy," one of
Hey,
those.
buddy.
Hey, buddy. Yeah, Christian and his wife extended their stay and stayed at the cabin with us over the weekend. We had a hell of a good time. So, okay, if you had advice for anybody who is thinking about the retreat, or people who have been accepted and are going, what would you tell them, and what would you tell them to do to get the most out of it?
Have your data about everything that you've been doing.
Job
I think that's
costing.
just, I mean, whatever it may be. I think all the data that you can have, the more the better,
Yep.
because that would eliminate about 20 to 30 minutes of your ask, and you get more value out of it because you've got it there. And it's not just guesstimates. Having the actual numbers would be amazing, and not to overthink the ask too much before you get there.
Yep.
Um, be open to the serendipity of finding it while you're there. Um, Having a general idea of what you're going into, as far as like developing it, and like what you're looking for is important, but don't get so stuck up on the idea that it has to be this. And also be prepared to try new things. I had never done an ice bath before. Granted, I couldn't hang in there as long as all the other guys, but I'd never done it before, and that was really cool. I'm definitely gonna have to get one. I think it was very revitalizing, and also be prepared to actually take some notes and listen to what people have to say. I think that's like the biggest thing. Like, leave the ego at the door, and when you walk in, just soak it in. I know you were telling me right after my ask, I started. That was the most outgoing you had seen me, and it's because the first 2 days was just soak. I just was like a sponge. I wanted to soak everything in. I didn't want to put too much input in because I really just wanted to hear about what everyone else had to say. Something to be said about that is to bring up what you're thinking. It's okay to, when someone's bringing up their ass to you, to, say, even if it's, someone like John McFarland that's 10x you could still give some advice, right?
And that's the beauty of all this sort of thing where,
Yeah, Pete.
I tried to keep track of this. I think there was about 6 times where somebody who was 3 to 5 times larger than me referenced somebody who had a business smaller than me. They overheard him say something or got advice from somebody who's running a $500,000-600,000 company, and they're like, "That was actually really good advice. I'm going to do that." And that doesn't happen everywhere. That is a very healthy relationship with your ego.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, even down to like the airport ride, I'd suggest somebody taking and carpooling from the airport with some people, even if you don't know them. I pooled with John and Tommy, and I gotta say, I don't know if they feel the same way, but I'd consider them some of the closest friends I have at this point.
It's absolutely amazing. There are people that I do family vacations that aren't work related now from people that I met at the retreats, and they are my friends. Like when I think back to the wonderful group of childhood friends I had, the wonderful group of high school friends I have, these are my friends now. Like those people are great, but I don't do anything with them. I do things with these people at the retreat. These are my people, and without that, the one page weekly this week was about friendship and just that. And I asked Matt Kuiper to write it and say it for the 1 year anniversary, and it was literally the culmination of 9 years of Ask a Painter, almost 5 years of the retreats, all the PCA members, the things that we did. And it is truly the hack to this industry. When people say, like, why join the PCA? It's like, it's for people like you, for people like me, to talk with people like each other and other people. You're supporting a cause that is bigger than ourselves. And we are like moths to a light, the PCA being the light. And it just attracts a certain type of human that in a million years, you and I couldn't have traipsed the internet and try to find guys like John McFarland without the PCA.
Without a doubt. And I mean, that sparked a thought in my brain about how you started that one page weekly, and that actually got me to start journaling. Um, I've been doing it for a couple weeks now, and I mean, getting some thoughts out onto a page, like, and just getting like the fact that it's like finish a whole page.
Yeah.
And that really helps me with like some consistency, and I really need to start applying that to a couple other areas of life too. But it's a trickle effect, right? And you trickled a little bit, and then now it's time to do the same, right?
It's really interesting finding motivators because I am not consistent with many things in life. The things that I'm consistent with, I find a through line, which I love creating and then expressing that outwardly publicly. And if somebody would have given me the task, write one page every Friday morning in a journal and do that, I wouldn't have made it 3 weeks in. But when I'm beholden to the public to publish something outwardly on social media like content, I get energized by that. And I found a trick within myself to do that. So I think the retreat is like that sort of thing of like, know thyself, figure yourself out. What motivates you? What doesn't motivate you? A large conversation that we had at the retreat was, well, I don't like doing that. I hire it out. And we had a lot of great debate about who cares what you like to do and don't like to do.
Yeah.
Your business needs this. Like it doesn't matter at some point. So it's that fun intersection of crap we have to do, crap we get to do, and where that blends and how we get ourselves to do all of it, right?
Without a doubt, and that is a very hard part. There nobody wants to deal with the problem customers, but you still have to go do that. No one wants to fire people, right? But sometimes you have to do that. And hearing other people say, "Hey, we've been there, and it's still not easy. We've done this hundreds of times. It's still not easy."
Yep.
That was like, wow, cool. So this is normal feeling.
Which is really interesting because in the history of time, like there's cold calling, there's job costing, there's firing people. No, I mean, I love job costing, but that's weird. Cold
Yeah,
calling
very,
people,
very weird.
I don't know a single human who loves making 100 random phone calls a day to strangers and try to make a connection with them. I've never met a single human. And the same thing goes for firing humans. And there's a huge, like I heard somebody say in a podcast a couple months ago, yeah, nobody likes that stuff. There's not a human who has a job where they fire people and they get energy from it. If they do, they're a psychopath. The truth about firing a human is that you're negatively affecting a human's life and their family. And there's no other way to code it. It's in the end, it might be better for them and you, But in the moment, you're negatively affecting a human and their family. And you shouldn't take pleasure in that. It's never going to be good. You never want to do it. You just hope that you can hire better to not be in that situation, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which again is not a perfect thing either.
No, no, no. And then every time you think you got it figured out, I think it evolves into like something else and finding new ways to make it better still.
That's it, man. And that's why there's no secrets in our industry. I mean, painting is a thing that's solved first. Running the number side of the business and just making sure that you can have enough money to survive is the second thing you solve. It's more complicated, but it's solvable. It's a math problem, right? Inputs and outputs, predictable things, non-predictable things. The thing that makes guys like John McFarland, John Busick, Jason Paris, the Kuipers, and everybody else world class has nothing to do with their ability to job cost or paint a thing. It's literally the humans. And we saw great expressions of that, which is the people who master the human side, the weird, the squishy, the irrational, as close as they can, they win. But none of those people, including all those very senior people, would ever say that they solved the human side of this. That never gets solved.
Yeah, it's a ongoing thing that you always, like I said before, you're always learning. And if you stop learning, then I think you're pretty close to death.
No, that would be a good indication. So what now? What do you do? What changes? Yeah, what now?
What now? More consistency with everything. I mean, everything. Also, more something I think is really cool is I asked John if I could come, shadow his like I don't know what it calls it, the person that is running the operation for him, like CEO or whatever it would be, running that operation. And he told me, yeah, of course. And he's 45 minutes away from me, and he doesn't mind me doing that. Yeah, it's incredible. So that's a step. Also, another step is to be able to be more personable with my team. I found now that I've been doing so many estimates a week, I'm not necessarily being as present for my team. Granted, I've been super present for my family because afterwards it's like do not disturb, and I'm with my family. But sometimes I don't see some of my painters for weeks, and I don't think that that's all right. I really want to have more unity together and build that culture that we had when I was still painting with other painters. I want that to leak out, and that starts with the recruitment. That starts with the consistency of going and making sure I see people, and that comes with increasing the customer experience too. Because without that driving force, what are they driving for? And as the owner, I strongly believe I am that driving force. I don't have a million superstars yet that could drive it for me. So
Yep.
it's time for me to really fill up the gas tank and get driving.
Yeah, that's it, man. It sounds like management to me. And I think what I feel about the lack of management in our industry, in my business, in your business, and everybody else's. It's probably the biggest thing that if I could wave the magic wand, we'd all just be better managers, not leaders, not technicians. It's that sort of the one-on-one meeting, the office hours, the day-to-day, the consistency. It's a thing that visionaries and salespeople and founders are typically not good at.
Yeah, and that's something I found. I romanticize so much of getting off the brush that I was like, so, oh my God, I made it. I'm not painting anymore. It's like, no, I only am just beginning
Yep.
actually. And um just because I'm not brushing things out on the job doesn't mean that I can't go and I mean, it's not illegal to pick up the brush while I'm talking to the guy. It might create some morale boost to pick up some trash at the job site. I mean,
Yep.
that's literally a-okay to do. And I feel like you get in your own head about like, oh, I'm not supposed to be at the job anymore. It's like, no, you can definitely stop in and like talk to your guys. It's not like you have to only be doing sales or you have to only be talking to the office team. You could definitely still get those one-on-ones with the guys, and it's very, very important.
It's weird how humans like us, we overcorrect in the pendulum of doing and not doing. Because initially when we grow, we do everything and we're literally like, don't roll that wall, let me do it, I can do it better, right? And you constantly like, you get in the way of other people doing stuff, you do too much, and then we get word of growing a business, and then we swing the far opposite way, which is if you do anything, you're a sucker. You shouldn't do it. Everything should be automated. Other people should do everything for you, things like that. And then we realize that's not how business works. It's not the type of businesses we want to run. And then typically over a longer arc of time, where you go from like the 1 to 3 or 1 to 5 million, you start swinging back to moderation out in the middle. And it's been really interesting, at least over the arc of the Ask a Painter stuff, where we've done some rapid, or the retreat stuff, where I've done some rapid scaling in the early years. I've actually, we've actually weighted ourselves more as a percentage of effort versus money being used for marketing and management and everything. We've swung back to being more personal than we have before, because everything used to be automated and this and that. And yeah, we spend more time with one another. We spend more time talking to clients and all that other stuff, because we do realize that, probably like your business, almost the majority of our work comes from word of mouth, repeat, and referrals. And we kind of take that for granted as we chase new leads and new opportunities, and we shouldn't.
Yeah, and I think it falls into this comparison trap. You see these people that are doing all these crazy things. You don't actually see their life. You don't see
Yeah.
where they were when they were at you. So you just are like, oh, well, I should be there. And like, there's no exact time when you're gonna get there. Like, it's okay to let it be okay.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and you fought, like, I mean, those are the ads you see. I sold 17,000 million trillion dollars this year, and I, don't work at all. You see stuff like that, and then you start, well, why can't I do that? And realistically, it's about these small little tasks every day and being consistent and being there for your people. And just like you said, people like people, and you can't automate the personal touch. I don't care how good you are. You can have a great business and have everything automated, yes, but it's going to feel automated no matter what you do. And if
Yep.
you could get those personal touches, that's what's going to that's like my biggest thing from the retreat. It's like I'm just trying to make this thing run without me, but I actually love it. Why would I like just give away my baby so fast when it's still growing?
Yeah, and we add a lot of the secret sauce. It doesn't mean we have to have 20 employees and still paint, because nobody can paint better than us. If you do this right, if you manage well, your ethos and your core values can descend upon all of those humans, and the outward realization of that is happy clients. If you set the ethos, people go out there, be decent human beings to one another, and it just trickles on through the organization. And it's a hell of a lot harder to get 10 to 20 people to do that than it is to just do it yourself. But that's what separates the people who have done it in the industry and the people who are trying to do it, is that ability to conquer that of leading through other people. Like, success is in the agency of other people. It's so much harder than painting yourself.
Way harder.
If you want. Yeah. Way
Way
harder.
harder. And like, typically you know how paint fails and you understand how to fix that. But when you're still learning people,
Oh, dude.
and it's a lot more lessons to learn, and it's crazy how much like psychology and stuff like that starts to matter, and you have to really be in tune with people versus just knowing how to get a perfect cabinet finish.
And the wonderful thing is, cabinets will tell you what they need. Humans will never tell you what they need. You can look at the failure on a cabinet and be like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. I know how to fix it. And it's no paint emergencies. We'll recode it. Humans, as far as I can tell, will never actually tell you what they need or what they need to be happy. And they might not even know themselves, and you have to guess.
I think that's the biggest thing is like nobody actually know. I mean, not nobody, but most people don't know what it is that they really want. Most people think it's just more money,
Yeah.
if I'm being honest. But
Yeah.
that's not necessarily what everybody wants. A lot of people like sustainability, and if you can provide that.
Yeah, money is the tangible thing. Like, it's such easy to say, what would make me happy? Going from $22 to $26. It's just like how all painters cling like a life buoy to the price of paint from Sherwin-Williams. Well, I pay 55 for duration. I think it should be 49, because that's a tangible thing you can grab and hold on to. And it's a thing you have to interact with all the time. Most people aren't that critical about their own rate of production or pay, because it's this thing. It's like, yeah, I just get out and paint. And there's things that I never track it. But if people had to pay themselves like they pay their Sherwin bill, they'd be ultra critical of themselves. It's just like there's some tangible things that we can grab onto, and that's it. Although lowering your super paint price or increasing your wage will momentarily maybe make you happy, but it doesn't solve what makes you really happy.
Yeah, and it kind of like it postpones it just for a little while longer,
Yep.
and then it's like, oh wait, we're unhappy again. Well, because all we changed was the price.
But I thought if my CHB went down $1 a gallon, my whole life would get better. Yeah,
Yeah, my
surprise,
net would
surprise.
go up 100%. No, no,
Surprise, surprise. That ain't
labor and
it.
people. Again, people is what it is. It's
Yeah.
people again. It's always people.
Dude, I am so glad we got to spend that time together. I'm so glad I got to learn more about you. I'm so glad that the universe brought John McFarland, Jordan, you, and all of us together. And it's been a wonderful thing. And you're now part of the alumni. There's only been about 80 of us who have ever done this. It's a rat pack. And when I see you at PCA events, there's a little bit of a wink and a nod to us fellow retreaters now, like, oh, we've done this together before. This is different now. And I'm really glad you were there, man.
Me too, and I couldn't have picked a better place than the cabin.
Dude, the wilderness cabin out there, you got a private building all to yourself in the wilderness behind the tennis court.
Yeah, it was awesome. I absolutely loved it. And I hope you got the underlying joke there.
Dude, it's the best. It's the best. John McFarland's watching. He knows we have a special nickname for that cabin, and we will not say on the air. So now you are an alum. And obviously, I give first tip of the cap to all the alum in the future. I typically, in my 3 to 4 rounds of recruiting every time, I typically start with a private email chain and messages with my alumni. And there's no pressure to come back. But you guys, it's like you have a Sky Miles account. And you're getting upgraded to first class if you ever want to come back. So sometime in the near future, maybe even extended future, I hope that you can come back and teach other new Brandons what you've done there too.
It's not even a question. I'll be back.
Dude, so grateful to know you. So grateful that you're out there doing your thing and spreading the good word of what we're all doing here. So everybody, thank you for this. Brandon and I will be watching this feed. It'll be posted all over. If you guys have any questions for either one of us about anything, our businesses, what we talked about, the retreat, any of this stuff, we're both going to be looking at this stuff and answering. I just want to say, finish up those sandwiches, get back on the brush, everybody. I'm actually headed in to talk to Nathan, who was at the retreat too. He's meeting me at my shop, and we're going to go shake down each other's businesses. I get to do some content creation this afternoon, and then it is family time. So Brandon, thanks for being here today. Thanks for everybody watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you next week. Join the PCA.
Join the PCA, people.
Yeah, or John's going to find you.
Yeah, John will find you.